You look like someone who'd rather die than ask for help, he said, leaning over my desk like he hadn't ruined my life 5 years ago. And yet, I smiled bitterly. Here you are, with a red pen and a god complex. I should have left the moment I saw him walk through the glass doors of M&M Publishing. But fate has a sick sense of humor, or maybe it's just lazy. Because out of every editor in New York, they gave my manuscript to him. Julian Carter. Tall, infuriatingly composed, and still very much an alpha in every terrifying, intoxicating sense of the word. 5 years ago, he'd taken me not in the poetic, swept-away sense, but quite literally. I was 18, freshly presented as an Omega, and unlucky enough to be caught in a trafficking ring masquerading as an elite Alpha Omega retreat. He'd been one of the handlers. But here's the part that twists the knife: he'd let me go. No explanation, no goodbye, just a broken door, a bruised wrist, and the taste of freedom without justice. And now he was my editor. It started with emails, clinical, precise, bleeding with comments like, "Tighten this," and "Omega's motivation unclear." He never acknowledged the story's roots, that this novel was my trauma, carved and disguised in fiction, that the Omega's captivity mirrored mine, that the alpha in the story, cruel, manipulative, tender in flickers, was him. Julian's silence was its own kind of violence. And yet, there was warmth in the margins. The occasional handwritten note on the physical manuscript. You write pain like someone who's survived it. The alpha's guilt feels real. Is he seeking redemption or forgiveness? I hope the Omega gets both. I hated how those words settled in my chest. One Thursday, after 3 cups of shitty bodega coffee and 0 hours of sleep, I stumbled into his office, manuscript in hand. I should have emailed. Hell, I should have ghosted the entire contract. But my feet had a mind of their own. "Why did you take this job?" I asked, tossing the draft on his desk. Julian looked up slowly. "Because you're a brilliant writer." That's not an answer. He paused, the tension between us sharp enough to slice through drywall. "Because I owe you," he said finally. I laughed. "Owe me? For what, Julian? For the months I spent locked in a room that smelled like bleach and fear? For not being able to sleep unless the doors open now?" His jaw clenched. "For not stopping it sooner?" Silence. Real heavy silence. Then he stood, circled the desk, and stopped just inches from me. "You don't have to forgive me," he whispered. "But I see you. And I believe in your story." And damn it, the tears came. We didn't talk about what happened next. The kiss was slow, deliberate, the kind that tasted like unfinished sentences and too many apologies. His scent, wood smoke and something unnameable, curled around me like old memories. I should have pulled away. Instead, I leaned in. Julian didn't touch me the way alphas are trained to touch omegas. There was no claim, no assertion of power. Just reverence, regret, want. "I never touched you," he murmured against my neck. "Back then, even when I could have. I couldn't be like them." "I know," I whispered. "But you were still there." His forehead pressed against mine. "And now I'm here. If you'll let me be." We didn't fall into love. We crashed into it, scraping against old wounds and sharp truths. Mornings bled into nights with manuscripts between us and pasts behind us. He learned to knock on doors, on boundaries, on my heart. I learned to breathe through panic attacks, through revisions, through the ache of trust rebuilding itself from ash. One night, I let him read the final chapter. The Omega walks out of the compound alone.
No Alpha. No Xavier.
Just him and the sky. Julian stared at the last line for a long time. "He doesn't forgive the Alpha," he said quietly.
No, Irraplia.
"He forgives himself." He nodded. "Then it's perfect." The book hit shelves in June. A storm of praise, interviews, offers. But I stayed anonymous. Let the words speak. Let the silence tell its own story. Julian and I moved into a 1-bedroom in Park Slope. Small kitchen, crooked blinds, a cat named Blot. We learned each other in the quiet. He still edited my work, still left notes like breadcrumbs. And sometimes, I'd catch him watching me not like a captor, not like an alpha, but like a man who lost something, then chose to build it again. One evening, while we curled on the couch under an ugly knit blanket, I asked him, "Why didn't you leave when I sent that first draft?" He looked at me, eyes soft. "Because it was a confession, and I wanted you to know I heard it." My hand found his. This wasn't a love story that began with flowers and dinners. It began with fear, pain, and the long, aching journey toward healing. But it was a love story, and I'm still writing it. Every day. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.